Hey there, guys, and welcome to another very exciting episode of Tales from the Podcast. We're doing this show a little different. We are going live. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm your host, JB, here with my fabulous co-host, Jack. How's it going, buddy?
What's going on, man? How you doing?
Not too much. I'm going to say right now, I'm happy to have you. And as everybody can see right next to me over here, we have our special guest, Kevin Given, with us on this episode. How's it going, Kevin?
It's going great. How are you guys doing?
We're doing awesome, man. So, obviously you haven't been on this before. So usually I do go ahead and ask everybody a question to start off. And that is, what was something that got you into Tales from the Crypt?
Oh, something that got me in is such a long time ago. I loved the show on HBO, and I didn't follow it to, I think it went to Sci-Fi after that. I didn't follow those episodes, but I loved the HBO episodes. And we actually got HBO for free back where I was living. I don't know how we got it. We got some kind of bleed somewhere, and we got it free. Watched that, and The Hitchhiker too. Loved The Hitchhiker, which is a little more serious.
Yeah, I remember that.
It was high camp. Yeah, I love both of those shows though.
Yeah. We got it for free too when I was younger, but I believe it was because my dad owned this little black box that descrambled things.
Oh, yeah, the classic bootlegging.
Should you share that on in the internet, a national?
I'm pretty sure that cable company doesn't exist anymore.
Okay.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter. So, anyways, Kevin, why don't you go ahead and tell everybody a little bit about you? Because as far as I understand, you've been working with a good friend of the show, Josh Nealis, with Cutthroat Comics,
Yes.
and you actually have a new release coming out soon.
Yeah, my name is Kevin Given, and I'm from a little town in Maine called Holton, and I've been loving comic books ever since I was a kid. The first comic book I ever read was Fantastic Four number 48, The Coming of Galactus, and I've been hooked on comics ever since. A huge Fantastic Four fan. And I've been trying to publish my own comics, and I first did this one. I did this one on Amazon. This is Dracula Rising. I don't know if anyone could see it, but that's Dracula Rising. That's on Amazon. Artist was Rodolfo Ezequiel. And when I got in touch with Josh Nealis, went to Cutthroat Comics, and he published and is publishing, I don't know, the digital version's out now on his website, Cutthroat Comics. I can't get this straight. There we go. And Foul Blood. This is the origin story of Carl Vincent, how he first encountered a vampire. That's available on Cutthroat Comics digitally, and hard copies are going to be coming out soon. They might already be out. He sent me a batch of hard copies. I'm going to try to sell them here in Florida, Tampa Bay area. And the artist
that's really
here,
cool. Who did you say the artist was?
The artist is Raphael Lanahouse, and the colorist is Arthur Hesley.
Wow, that looks really, really cool, man. I can't tell you enough, man. I'm very excited to see this. I've been a fan of Josh's work for quite a while, and for him to go ahead and take on a more horror detective title is very interesting. And I did get to see some of a video that you posted where it was like I guess a walkthrough of the comic book.
Yeah, I kind of did the voices. It's all my voices doing all the other voices, so they all probably sound the same. And you might not be able to tell who's who, but I do close-ups of the pictures of the characters, so you can tell.
Yeah, it was really, really cool. A very interesting way to go about showing off your comic book, and man, it was really interesting. I really liked that. That was pretty cool. So, obviously we're all pretty excited to see this and everything. Is there like an actual date on the full-blown release yet, or no?
I haven't seen him, or he hasn't told me an actual date yet. I guess he's got a Comic-Con coming up if it doesn't get canceled with the pandemic and all. But he's got a Comic-Con or two coming up that he's going to try to sell them at, and I don't know where we're going to go from there. He has all that information.
That's very interesting. Hopefully he's able to push those out. I was actually able to get a lot of his work from a convention myself. Actually, a friend of mine, Mike Askham, is sitting there on the side commenting in. Hey, Mike, how's it going? Nice of you to join us.
Hello, Mike.
Actually, Jack, you got to meet Mike on a first version of an episode that we were recording before that needed to be re-recorded for some issues. But you got to meet
That
him
was
before.
him?
He's one of the people that was on there. Yes, yes.
Oh, my bad. No, Kevin. What he's referring to is that when he originally started the podcast, I was with him for first few episodes, and my personality at the time, I was extremely eccentric. You know, I had a lot of things going on in my life, and I was like overly excited about everything. And during the show, I would just cut people off and be like, "Yeah, just watch what you just talked about. It is really interesting." And like, oh, I was just so. Needless to say, I stepped away from Tales from the Podcast for about a year and a half, and now I'm back. So, and I'm chilled out and loving life.
Huh.
Sounds fun.
Well, that's awesome. Now I can't see it exactly, but I see Mike asking "What's up, guys?" as well as a few other people going ahead and mentioning it in there. So, nothing really. We're going to go ahead and go with the live show for the first time for Tales from the Podcast. Now,
Yes.
we should probably go ahead and introduce what episode we're going to be talking about today, guys. So today we're going to be talking about the season 3, episode 4, Abra Cadaver. And
Abra Cadaver.
Good day.
Steve Miller
Dude,
band.
like every time
No,
I
I
hear
know who it is.
that song, every time I hear it, it's the incredible Burt Wonderstone. Like that is just like I can never hear that song differently, and I just see Steve just with yeah. All right, so yes, the episode.
Let's go ahead and
I was about to say the same thing, Justin. So you can
what
say
were
it
you
too.
about
Go
to
ahead.
say?
I was about to say, let's
well, this
get in.
No.
Did I leave
No,
this guy?
that's not what I was going to say.
Steve
So-
Miller band impersonation. Or...
Okay, so all right. So the storyline for the episode for Abra Cadaver is Martin Fairbanks would have been a successful surgeon if not for a cruel prank his brother Carl played on him years ago. Now merely a research assistant, he resents his sibling who has become a successful surgeon. Martin, however, wants revenge as well as the opportunity to prove the success of his research involving the human brain. Carl learns this all too well as his twisted brother combines both these personal goals with chilling results.
Yeah, so this is actually a pretty fun one. So before we go ahead and get too far into this, how's it going, Sean? Thank you for joining in. And David, I can't agree with you enough, man. This is a really interesting story, but the whole way of how they started it in black and white and transferred it over to color was really, really cool. And
Yes.
also, Mike, have fun with the baby. We love you guys. Have fun out there, man. But before we get too deep into this episode, why don't we go ahead and talk about who directed and wrote it and who is in this episode? It's very interesting. So first off,
Yes,
this episode was released in June 19th of 1991, and it is based off of the Tales from the Crypt issue number 37 comic book. Now, this was directed by Stephen, or is it Stephen Hopkins? I like the idea of everybody with the PH being Stephen.
Stephen.
Well, I thought Stephen was the F and PH was Steve.
No,
So-
I'm pretty sure Steve is with a V.
Well,
Well, isn't Stephen King?
Well-
PH, Stephen King. PH.
I'm pretty sure we've all been fucking it up for years. I'm pretty sure it's Stephen King.
Stephen King.
Stephen, it's
Well,
Stephen
someone's
King?
gonna let him know
Okay.
that. So he'll-
Someone needs to make an announcement, like for real. Like it's
Well, I just did.
Stefan King. Oh, well there.
No.
Then
But
there we go.
let's talk a little bit about what he's done. So for those who don't know, he's one of the big producers from the 1990s version of Lost in Space. But he also directed Predator 2, Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Reaping. He did a lot of directing for Shameless, The Fugitive, and Dark Tower. So this guy has been around, and not only been around, but he's dabbled into the horror genre quite a bit before this, and even after too.
Yeah.
Now,
Mm-hmm.
it was kind of weird though, because I noticed that not only like we got this guy directing, but we have Jim Burge writing this. And no joke, this is the only thing he's ever written. So we have
he's ever
somebody
written.
Yeah, whatever.
Ever written.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I don't know. Did we just invent a new word, roten?
Yes,
You
we
know,
might have. And
I've been
then here's
roten
the
for
announcement for that.
Yeah.
So why don't we go ahead and talk about some of the actors in this episode? Now, Jack, what do you know about Beau Bridges? Or Bridges, sorry.
Beau Bridges?
Yes.
Jeez, man, what are you on? Okay, everyone, I do not condone whatever he is doing right now. No, Beau Bridges, I think, to me, like we grow up with a lot of dads and meaning like on the classic shows, and Beau Bridges was one of those guys that like he was just a great dad type of person. Like when he would play his characters, he was always a very good dad.
Like in Stargate?
Oh, well, I don't know. What about Earl Hickey's dad? He was kind of a detached father on that show. That My Name is Earl.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, but no. Beau Bridges, he's done a lot of good acting. He's been in a lot of films. He was actually in the beloved Disney's Rocket Man, if you remember from back in the 90s. He's done several, like this guy has done series, TV, movies. But I think he's best known literally for, doing a TV show. He was actually in Max Payne.
Was one of the big ones.
I've never seen an episode of Stargate.
Oh, really? Oh, he also he was also in the Magical World of Disney as well. And dude, he's been acting since the fucking 40s.
Yeah, I'm looking at his IMDb right now.
No, he has credits from the 40s. No joke. Like this.
Yeah, 1948.
As I recall, he played Richard Nixon, complete with a prosthetic nose, in one of those Nixon movies. Can't remember the name of it.
Yeah, there's actually a couple people from this episode from that movie. To be honest with you, I noticed because our next actor we're going to talk about, Tony Goldwyn, he was in Nixon as well. He was in there too.
Tony Goldwyn plays the character Dr. Carl Fairbanks, and this guy's most notable role is in literally it's a chick flick, but it's a dude flick at the same time. The very classic film starring Demi Moore and Patrick Swayze, and would be none other than Ghost. And I was so scared at his excellent. Like there was the movie was flawless other than Patrick Swayze's ghost having a shadow. That's the only thing that's wrong with that film to me. Anyway,
because from all the scientific
but
proof you've done, ghosts do not have shadows.
Yes. Yes, they do not. Depending on what you believe in. And Tony Goldwyn is known for roles in The Sixth Day, the sci-fi Arnold Schwarzenegger movie dealing with clones. He was also in the he was. Did you say horrible?
He said Arnold.
Arnold Schwarzenegger. My poor Arnold Schwarzenegger impersonation.
What?
Yeah, he was also in the Pelican Brief, as well as Friday the 13th Part 6. Okay. And one of my personal favorites that he was in was the Belko Experiment. But he was also in The Last Samurai. Yes. Like this guy's actually he's been around quite a bit. And he also did correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe he did the voice of Tarzan on the cartoon too. And there's one thing that I noticed that was really interesting when I was looking him up is that he has something that's actually in post-production right now. So there hasn't been too much talk about it, but it's called Lovecraft Country. I have no idea what it's about, but if there's anything going back to like H.P. Lovecraft, I get excited right away.
Hopefully that's what it's about.
Isn't that the new? Yeah, isn't that?
I don't know. I haven't seen any trailer. I don't know. It's in post production. It's not out yet.
You know what?
Why don't you
Oh,
go
it's a
ahead and
TV
look it up?
series.
Is it?
It's TV
You know?
series coming out. Supposed to come out now, actually. A
Yeah,
young
well,
African American travels across the U.S. in the 1950s in search of his missing father. So yeah, oh yeah, I've seen the trailers for this. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Looks pretty cool. So I'm assuming as he's exploring the country, he's dealing with a lot of villains
Lovecraftian
or
horror.
ghouls
I don't
or
know.
yeah,
I
yeah.
have I don't
mean
know anything
something.
about this. If anybody out there knows anything about this show, let me know. If I should be
I just
expecting to
told
watch an
you.
episode, well, yeah, but you didn't say nothing about Cthulhu, so I have no idea what it's going to be about.
Okay, hold on real quick, guys.
But while you're looking stuff up and playing around, Jack, I'm going to go ahead and talk about the next actor we got here. We got Tom Wright as Mitch in this, and he's probably best known for being in Creepshow 2. He was in Troop Beverly Hills, Weekend at Bernie's 2, Barbershop, Transformer last night. This guy's been in a shit ton of TV too. It's kind of pointless to go through it all. Like the dude has like tons and tons of acting credits, but he's just like one-offs in this show and that show. Like, pretty much like your basic TV actor who has a appearance in like Law and Order and then Criminal Minds and just go down the fucking list pretty much. And that's how a lot of these are. A lot of these, obviously, there is a lot of soap operas like Santa Barbara and stuff like that from the 80s and 70s in here too.
He's the type of guy that like shows up in everything. You don't really know his name, but I saw him in something else. That type of character.
Oh
actor.
yeah. Definitely. Once you see him, it's crazy how that's just how it is. like you just said, like you just notice him in everything. Like even in Creepshow 2, like he didn't have like a huge role or anything, but he had a big enough spot where he was noticed.
Right.
To go on with this, so we also have Lucinda Weist, I believe is how you say it, is her last name. I'm sorry, I really, really suck at pronouncing names. But she plays Kelly in this episode, and she was in Predator 2, as well as just lots of more basic TV stuff as well. Pretty much a lot of the actors that are in this episode did a lot of TV. And welcome back, Jack, who decided to just walk away mid-broadcast.
I was
My
afraid
apologies.
your screen disappeared. I thought, he's left us for good.
No. Unfortunately not. No, I have my kids, and it's Saturday, so they're rambunctious as hell, and they will most likely be popping in and out because they can't let Daddy do anything alone.
That's why I got a lock on my door.
Well, I still have the screams right there, so it's like, argh.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I get
Sorry,
it. Is what it is. So our next actor that we have in this is Peter Schruck. Or I can't do that. Those SCH things, dude. Shuck. Yeah, see, I said it right then. Yeah, all right. He played Bernie in this, and he's another one of these big TV actors, pretty much in every little thing that you can imagine. It's yeah, pretty much. And like we get a lot of this through Tales from the Crypt, which is cool and everything, but it's special when we get some of the bigger names too.
He was actually he's also in the Monsters Today TV series, which I'm thinking was a reboot of the Munsters from the 1950s. And actually that series ran, I had no idea about this, I'm going to check it out, ran from 87 to 91, 73 episodes. Holy crap, I didn't even know about
Chuck was Herman in that.
Yes, yeah. Wow.
Yeah, it looks like there was only one spot on there, the Munsters Today, huh? I'm interested in that. I did not know that.
Yeah, they actually made more episodes than the original series.
Yeah, so, it wasn't the original series only like 1 or 2 seasons?
2 seasons, about 80 some odd episodes.
Yeah.
And then the new one was like 3 seasons and about 80, couple more episodes than the original.
Yeah, right. The Munsters was one of those fun ones. I like how much they changed it right from the beginning to how they started it. Like, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but the first episode of that was like completely in color and everything. Right? The original pilot.
I have no idea. I honestly have no idea.
Well, try to prove me wrong, guys. I'm pretty sure that the first episode of that, or at least the pilot episode of the Munsters, was actually shot in color, and then they like revamped the whole show and turned it black and white and did it all over. But it was really interesting if you ever get a chance to watch that first episode there. But to keep this going, obviously, we got to talk about our next actor, who is Hubie Hollub. Now, this guy's in a lot of fucking shit too, man. Like, I mean, a lot of shit. I guess some of our younger fans would probably best know him from something like Stranger Things.
Oh,
Netflix.
You know, yeah. He was in The Bucket List. My Name is Earl, which is another, like obviously he's another TV actor too. The Practice, Miracle, Summerland, Monk, NCIS, like King of Queens. It's very, very basic TV actor, which don't get me wrong is awesome. It's really cool that somebody's able to do all that. But like I said, this is what we get on a lot of these episodes. And then to go ahead and wrap up like all of our actors, we got Tina Bachrath in here as Paula, or the Cadaver as well. She literally only did 2 acting roles, and they were both in 1991. There was this right here, and then a film called Totally Exposed. But she also had some other credits and documentaries, which are all Playboy except for one is a Howard Stern. So I'm assuming she did this 1991. So yeah, so a lot of her Playboy shorts actually came out before this. So there's she was just like a Playboy model that was able to get in on, I guess, Tales from the Crypt, and they used her for your basic sex sells type of thing.
Oh,
yeah. But that pretty much wraps up all of our characters that are actors and who directed this and everything. So, Jack, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about this episode?
Well, this episode originally starts out in black and white, and you really don't know where it's going. And that's what I really did like about the episode, was because it started off with a twist. It started off with something that, honestly, as a writer and a filmmaker, it got me. It really did. I really enjoyed the opening, and then you see what happens, and the guy has he scares his brother, literally giving the brother PTSD about what happened, and this body comes to life, and the guy has a heart attack, and I believe it's his birthday, if I'm not mistaken. So his brother was playing a prank on him at his birthday. Then we fast forward. I'm gonna say, I mean, the wigs and stuff back then were horrible. So obviously the 80s ponytail, like it was just that style. And then it brings it back to present day, quote unquote. And the brother is trying to tell the one brother that had the heart attack and stroke, is telling the other brother, he needs to be down here in a lab so he can see what he's doing, because the brother finances everything. Well, next thing you know, the brother is does he have a heart attack, or is he like knocked over the head or something? I can't remember that
heart
part.
Attack.
He has a heart attack. And then the brother injects him with this serum, and it goes through the episode like he can see everything that's happening to him, all the horror getting put into a meat locker, and from the guy's point of view, this is all happening in like a day's time or a couple days. Next thing you know, they bring him out, and he's laying on the table, and he comes to, and then you realize that his brother, the one who had the stroke previously, injected him to teach him about his experiment, to show him what he's doing and how the brain can live on after death. And the guy is like flustered, and he can't believe what is happening. And as things would turn out, the guy has which brother has the heart attack and is done, like he dies? Was it
the one who died, I believe, was
Tony, I think. Tony
Carl.
Goldwyn.
Carl.
Carl Fairbanks was the one.
Okay, so and then if I'm not mistaken, well, no, and then he gets injected with the serum again, and it actually works. Like the guy is literally dead, but his brain functions are going, and it ends, and it's really a fun episode because I love twists, I love twists and turns, and so far in the series, that episode has the most twists to me. Like, and it got me, and I like that when that happens.
Yeah, I I don't know. I guess we're gonna have to talk about that in a minute, though. But let me go ahead and tell everybody about some of the differences with this in the comic book. So, yeah, because there's actually quite a few little things that are different here, and some very interesting discoveries that I made on this episode as well. So first off, this right here is based off of the comic book issue Tales from the Crypt number 37. Now, I was doing a little bit of research on this because, obviously when you're like, okay, well, this is a source material. So you're going to sit there, you're going to find where the source is, and then you're going to look for Abra Cadaver. You're going to look for the story that's on there, which is 99% of the time what I do for this podcast is, I'll look up the episode that goes along with it. And most of the time it is the exact same name. Well, while I was doing a lot of my research on this episode, there wasn't an episode like a comic book comparison for Abra Cadaver because there is no comic book called Abra Cadaver. No.
So they changed it.
Yes and no. So here's what happened is this is actually based off of a comic book issue, which is Tales from the Crypt, what is it, 37, I believe? Yes. But it is based off of the title Dead sorry about this. Was it Dead Right? Now, for those who don't know, there is another episode of Tales from the Crypt called Dead Right, which is based off of a different comic called Dead Right, but not a Tales from the Crypt comic. It was actually based off of the Shock Suspense Stories number 6 comic Dead Right. So I believe, and I could be completely wrong on the reasoning behind it, but from just what I would consider like an obvious like standpoint on it, like they probably had to change the name to something else because they already had an episode called Dead Right based off of a comic book called Dead Right, which really it's kind of interesting on like why would EC make two different comic book, like, well, they had multiple different comic book lines, as as everybody really knows, but the thing is like, why would they have the same title used in two different issues? I find that interesting. I don't know why. Unfortunately,
maybe
there's a good chance I will never know why. What was that, Jack?
I think it might have been an overlook. I said it might have been an overlook. Like maybe someone didn't realize it.
It is possible, but
and they
like obviously
they
fans of the show have figured it out and noticed that there is another comic book issue called Abra Cadaver. But it's just one of those things that I found very interesting.
By the time they got to that issue, they realized they already had a show with the same title. That's probably why they had to change the title.
Right. I think they changed the title mostly for the TV show than anything else. Well, obviously, because it's the only thing with that title on it. But anyways, let's go ahead and talk a little bit more about some of these comparisons. Yes.
Wait, real quick. What episode was Dead Right? What episode was Dead Right?
Dead Right would have been season 2, episode 1. I believe. Season 2, episode 1.
Really?
Yeah, that's the one with Demi Moore.
Okay.
Yeah. But I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure that's season 2, episode 1. But yeah,
I'm gonna Google it while you do that.
This is something that I thought was pretty interesting, but like obviously with the comic book comparison, we're obviously gonna have some of the normal kind of changes when you're adapting something from the 1950s to later be adapted into like a 90s TV show and HBO. So like obviously the whole idea of like the medical lab, like the setting wasn't really there. The prank from the beginning wasn't really there. They didn't do any like black and white type things or any kind of color changes with a lot of this. So what you pretty much have in the comic book issue is two men older men sitting down, obviously in like a study, and like one of the things that I did notice that was similar is they used brandy for the initial poisoning, which is one of the things that I'm not sure if you caught that, Jack, but that was the original way how he got Carl under, was he took some of that poison and put it in his brandy.
You're
And
right.
that's how they make it.
Drank
That's how they induced the heart attack. And then that's when he injected him. But
Yes.
yeah. Another one of the big differences, there is no meat locker scene. It's definitely toned down quite a bit compared to the TV episode. The TV episode tends to take things a pretty big step forward. We don't have any Jamaican guy trying to get him high while he's dead. Your basic stuff that it just didn't happen in the comic book issue at all. I guess as far as like another big difference is they actually tried to bury him, and as they buried him, then they stopped, and they said when they were like, okay, well, this is what this does, and then they were showing them. But the thing was that he had a heart attack in the comic book issue right before he had the medicine. So unlike the TV episode where they had the heart attack and then for some reason he was okay afterwards with the stuff, in the comic book issue, since he had the heart attack first, it's actually what killed him. But the medicine was able to keep his brain going, to say the least.
Oh, real quick. One of our listeners, Joe, she said, how do you feel about the reboot? Well, the Tales from the Crypt has not gotten a reboot. I think you may be thinking of Creep Show. Creep Show does the same fashion.
They were talking about doing a reboot of Tales from the Crypt with M. Night Shyamalan, but they had a lot of issues with all the rights coming together to make it happen. So unfortunately for all the Tales fans out there, we don't have anything coming right now, which is unfortunate. But who knows what the future brings.
CGI anyway, so instead of the
they would.
So,
that
would work or not.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's one of the big things with this show is like the work that Todd Masters and Kevin Yeager were able to put into this is fucking amazing. Kevin Yeager obviously with the Crypt Keeper segments and Todd Masters with the episodes for I guess for a good majority of them. But like it's awesome. And they were talking about it, and that was years ago, going back to these Facebook comics here. And they were talking about it, but the thing is the rights, they're not there. They weren't able to get them all there together. They weren't able to agree on things. Something happened. If you go back and check out some of my past episodes with like John Cassier, I think we chat about it for a second, things like that. But yeah, they just weren't able to get the rights together to make it happen. Unfortunately, it really sucks, but what can you really do about it unless you're able to have the money there to buy all the rights from everybody else? So I guess with that being said, we went ahead, we've talked about this episode, and we talked about the comics. So we're going to go ahead and take a small commercial break, good like maybe 5 minutes there, and we'll be back in just a few.
Hello, this is the Sasquatch, aka Bigfoot, but you can just call me Frank. And when I'm not stomping around the woods throwing rocks at hunters, I like to listen to the Paranormal Punchers podcast. That's right, Paranormal Punchers. They talk about all things paranormal, and they're hilarious. Go find them on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, Google Play, and ParanormalPunchers.com.
Do you like the Tales from the Crypt? Do you love the Tales from the Crypt? Even if you've never seen an episode, this podcast is for you. I'm Melissa, your ghostess with the mostest, and host of the Good Evening Kiddies podcast. Each week, I break down another great episode from the TV series The Tales from the Crypt. Audio clips are included, so even if you haven't watched that episode, you're good to go. There are also special guests, trivia, mini movie reviews, and much more. What are you waiting for? Check out the Good Evening Kiddies podcast on Podbean, Apple Podcast, or wherever you get your podcasts. That's the Good Evening Kiddies podcast. Check it out today.
submitted for the approval of the Midnight Society. A whole new season of spine-tingling.
For the first time in We're Not Afraid of the Dark history, we're actually going to watch a erotic scene
together. Just a couple brothers watching porn together. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, on air right now. This is the biggest plot hole I saw this, by the way. How in the fuck does she take him back in town for
But he was made it a point to bump him. But no, I agree.
How do you not catch this?
I was drunk when I watched this.
Whoa, so were we. Yeah.
But yeah, there's just this giant fucking board right here ready to lock down.
Like it has hooks that you latch the fucking door to lock it.
She is on Mr. Skate Up, I'll link in the show there. She does get and she's listed as great nudity. She's a red-haired girl. They say she has great natural tits.
See?
You seen her black people in this episode?
I like how she's exercising while eating it, and then she's in the bathroom taking a shit, reading the story, and the plate's on the floor.
And this is also the first episode where our main characters aren't just a bunch of generic white kids.
Everything about our food is changing. The way we cook it, the way we eat it, and the way we share it. And that's why I'm encouraging you to come and check out Pardon My Fork. Conveniently packaged in hour-long episodes and available anywhere you find your favorite podcasts and at pardonmyfork.com. We are talking to home cooks, chefs, Food Network stars, and world food champions. So cleanse your palate and come and get a heaping helping of Pardon My Fork.
Greetings! We are the Retro Reductopus Cephala Podcast, the bi-weekly show that celebrates all the things that made growing up awesome.
He's right. We wax philosophic about lots of geeky crap like old video games and movies, toys, cartoons. I don't know, help me out here.
Music, pants, quoting video games that don't have dialogues, shabibans, tasty news,
Unnecessarily long Japanese onomatopoeia.
butt breathers, uncomfortable nature facts.
or how to install a thermoflange.
And unlike all those other podcasts, we at Retro Octopus have an exciting rotating host schedule.
Do we? We sure do.
So, if you didn't like the guy flapping his gums this week,
like me,
worry not, gentle listener. Next week we'll have a whole new host.
Of problems.
Hey, they might still suck, but they'll suck differently.
And you know what's really cool? Retro Reductopus is part of the Dorkening and Inebriar podcast networks, with new episodes every Tentacle Tuesday.
Which is like every other Tuesday. We named it.
Anyways, you can listen to us at iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, or any podcast player cool enough to carry the only show that celebrates all things that make growing up awesome.
Win championship belts. If you're not listening to Trick or Treat Radio, here's a taste of what you've been missing.
There's 3 guarantees in life. What are they?
Death, taxes, and Trick or Treat Radio every Friday morning.
This is one of the most convoluted movies I've ever seen in my life.
I'm fucking trying, man.
Hey.
Oh, yeah.
Hey.
Oh, yeah. It's like you took a shit on a pile of shit.
But you shit on him for liking what he likes.
Yeah, well, it's my job.
This podcast is now banned in Germany.
It's me, Giovanni Lombardo Radici.
Shut up. I call bullshit. I demand someone to bring me the face of Lindsay Lohan.
If I had genitals, I would definitely bang her.
Oh, wait. Is she a great big fan person?
You just hit the jackpot.
This is a weird movie, huh?
It had action, it had suspense, it had great characters, it had great acting.
I'm gonna strangle you with my jockey shorts.
I don't like mobster movies.
All right, well, here's my take. You're a sick fuck.
Thank you. Now shut the fuck up and let me talk.
Have you ever seen 2001?
The box, right? The box and the monkey.
Available on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and trickortreatradio.com.
Arrivederci, douchebags.
Hey, and welcome back to Tales from the Podcast. I'm your host, Justin, here with my co-host, Jack, and our special guest, Kevin. So, this was a fun episode, guys.
It is. It is. Kevin hasn't even given his opinion on the episode yet.
Yes, I'd like to share a little something good. You know, one thing I thought when I was watching the show, what are people in comas? Because the guy on the show, Tony Goldwyn's character, was completely aware of everything and could feel everything. I'm just wondering, people in comas, are they aware of what's going on? Do they know?
Sometimes I think it just depends. Like it depends. You
hold your loved one's hand and then you feel it squeeze. Do they know you're there? You think, oh my God, they know I'm here. Then a doctor comes along and ruins it and goes, oh, that's just a reflex. So it wasn't just a reflex. Who knows?
Well,
So that's what
obviously,
I thought of when I was watching the show.
I don't know. My first opinion on that is, wouldn't they remember it once they woke up then?
I don't know.
I think
Like
it was
in the episode, they did at least.
But of course, his coma was medically induced. So
True.
Yeah.
So what else did you think about this one, man?
it was a wild show. I mean, Bo Bridges is always fun. I call him the poor man's Jeff Bridges since he's Jeff Bridges' brother. But he's always fun. And Tony Goldwyn, kind of when he's doing the narration, you kind of feel his pain when he's like, "Oh my God, I'm here! Stop doing this!" You really feel the pain that he felt, and it was a fun episode all around. Everyone did a great job in that one.
Yeah. So, what would your rating be on this episode?
My rating?
Yeah, like say you had to do a 1 through 10, with 10 being the best. Well, where would you put this one?
I'd go with an 8. I think
8. That's fair. This is a good episode. So,
Good
Jack,
episode.
what did you think about
Yes.
this one?
I'm gonna go with Kevin. I think it's a solid 8.
Yeah?
It got me. It did get me, and I really think there was a very good written. It was written very well, and the suspense, and just like you hear, like Kevin said, like the coma stuff. It's terrifying because we all have that fear.
Yeah, that's very true. I'm just curious, if you had to rate this episode 1 through 10, where would you go ahead and set this one up at?
I just said 8.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. So, I guess for me with this episode, I personally really got like a heavy, almost like a Reanimator kind of vibe. Not only with like the storyline and everything to go with it, but even with the way they were making this drug look, with that green look to it and everything. But I absolutely love it because of that too. As far as a rating, I'm gonna have to go with probably about an 8 on this one too. It really taps into that fear of because like it's why he's unconscious, but they don't realize that at first. So the whole idea of it being like in their point of view, when you really break it down and think about it, like they think they're dead. So this right here is pretty much like what they're thinking death is like in a way. And that whole idea behind it is really fucked up. And I really appreciate it. I really do like it. What did I say? Like 7.5, 8 in there. I completely agree with pretty much with where everybody is standing on this one. It's an all around fun episode. It's an iconic episode. Everybody knows this one. And just that whole perspective through the unconscious or the dead person's eyes type thing is just really fucked up. You know what I mean? But I do like it a lot. So Kevin, we went ahead, we talked about this episode, did our comic comparison, and we already went ahead and talked about what we thought about this episode as a whole. So why don't you tell everybody a little bit more about this comic? Obviously I know it is new, so whatever you can actually share with everybody. And maybe tell everybody where they can find it, where they can find you, and where they can, maybe get a hold of this.
Okay, first, I do columns and reviews on 2 sites, Comics for Sinners and Comic Crusaders. Check those out. And my YouTube show is Comics and Pop Culture. Let's talk. I got a lot of videos on there. You can check that out, see if you like it, and subscribe to my channel, ring the bell, all that good stuff. Dracula Rising, I've mentioned before. This is available on Amazon. It's a complete trade paperback. Artist is Rodolfo Ezequiel. Great artist. And this is a little sneak peek on that. But the comic we're really promoting right now, which has just been released, is Carl Vincent Vampire Hunter. This is Foul Blood, the origin story. And that is available on Cutthroat Comics. Can't get this position right here. Josh Nellis is the publisher and editor. Raphael Lenelhouse and Art Hesley are doing the colors and the artwork. Some great art from that title. And
it's really nice.
The Carl Vincent is a detective, and his partner is Lyle Chauncey. He's bald in this. Lyle is. And the they find a series of bodies behind a cross-dressing club called First Impressions. Now, First Impressions was inspired by Jacques Cabaret in Boston. So the whole story is set in Boston, and I wanted a flamboyant type of antagonist. So I got thinking, what if Carl had to interrogate Dr. Frankenfurter from the Rocky Horror Picture Show? And then when I discovered Jacques Cabaret, I thought, I've got a whole bar full of Dr. Frankenfurters. So they go in and they're trying to find out, get to the bottom of who's killing these people. The owner of First Impressions was a mafia hitman named Leo Kowalski. Now, I like to, in this comic, I like to get down to some gritty realism. So I based some characters on real people. Leo is based on Richard Kuklinski, the real mafia hitman called the Iceman. And one of the bodies found out back was another mafia informant, Paul Sweetheart Sachatella. So automatically, Leo is a suspect. But yet, why would he kill a person, throw him in the back of his own club? That doesn't make sense. And the serial killer, another one of the suspects is a serial killer named David Reynolds, and he was inspired by the real serial killer Danny Rawling, who was known of as the Gainesville Ripper here in Florida. So I wanted that gritty sense of realism instead of making it all up. Obviously I take some creative liberty, and some people might think it a little morbid. I would base these characters on real people, but I wanted that gritty sense of realism. I wanted them to reflect reality, even though it's a vampire story, and that's
right.
what I'm looking for in this.
Well, that's very interesting. That's really cool. I personally can't wait to get a copy of this. I've been talking to Josh for a while now about this. Actually, before I even knew that you were part of this and everything, I already saw a picture of it being shared around. I was like, oh man, that's definitely right up my alley. And then once I seen exactly where it was going and everything, it's like, well, I know Josh. Let's go ahead and let's really try to see what I can, look into this and everything. So it's really, really cool. And I'm really happy that, Josh with Cutthroat Comics was able to take you on and add a really decent, cool horror title there. That's really, really cool. I also see that you are actually wearing one of the Carl Vincent shirts there, man. That's really cool too.
This is the cover to, I think, issue 5. Well, yeah, issue number 5. And this is Dracula. He's resurrecting his daughter, and it's actually a reversal because in the comics she resurrects him. But we wanted to show the ritual here, and I wanted Dracula to be prominent on the cover, so that's what that's from.
That's really cool.
In Dracula Rising, his daughter, who's in our time, she's only like 4 years old, but a future version of her comes back in time to resurrect Dracula for this ritual, which will make vampires all powerful. And so the future Dominica actually winds up meeting her younger self and her mother from this time. And the mother's like, how could you turn out to be so evil? I'm trying to raise you right. And I think it's a good little character study inside that particular issue.
That's very interesting. I'm really excited to see where this is going to go with that for sure, man. And like I said before, I'm really happy that Josh was able to get this on there. And man, so go ahead, Josh.
So how does one get a autographed copy, Mr. Kevin?
Just give me your address and I'll get some out to you.
Hell yeah, CJB, that's what you gotta do. You gotta ask. But yeah, that's awesome, Kevin. I'm down.
Me personally, I'm a strong believer in supporting indie comics, and obviously, if you go to the websites to purchase this, which you said is available at Cutthroat Comics website, which is cutthroatcomics.com, which will obviously be in a couple of weeks when this podcast is released. It will be in the show notes for everybody else to check out too. But
awesome.
Usually, if you add on to the notes there, that's how I was able to get a lot of the signatures there as well.
But you just make me look like an asshole, don't you? You just love it. You love it, Justin.
Hey, it's
Bullshit.
okay. It's okay. I am cool with supporting indie artists. I remember once upon a time there was this filmmaker I knew, and I was one of the first people to purchase one of his Blu-rays, and how good that made him feel. He even sent me a plaque, and It meant a lot to me. So I continue to do this that way. Jack, do you know who that guy was?
I think he's probably the most attractive person in podcasting at this very moment.
Me?
I'm sure and he has a girlfriend that is quite amazing. I am referring to myself. So, yes, me.
Yeah, of course you are. So,
yeah.
So, Kevin, first off, I want to say thank you very much for joining us. Again, before we go ahead and wrap this all up, do you want to go ahead and tell everybody where to find you, where they can find this comic book again? Really push it out, man.
Okay.
Yeah. Plug it all, man. Plug.
Okay. The YouTube channel is Comics and Pop Culture. Let's Talk. Kevin Given. Comic book. There is a video on this comic book, which I do all the voices on. It's on my channel. Check out my videos. Carl Vincent Vampire Hunter Foul Blood is the current release. This is the origin story of Carl Vincent, how he became a vampire hunter in the first place, along with his partner Lyle Chauncey. This is the first vampire he had to kill that is revealed in this one. This is issue 1. There's going to be 4 or 5 issues, and it will be a trade paperback eventually. And then Carl Vincent Vampire Hunter Dracula Rising. This is Carl's first encounter with the Prince of Darkness. This one is available on Amazon. You can just type in Carl Vincent Vampire Hunter Dracula Rising on Amazon, and you'll come right through it. You can look inside the book. Here's some great artwork from Rodolfo Ezequiel. There's one of the blue vampires that Carl had to face. And that's that outer. And let's look at some Raphael Lennelhouse artwork. We're in a cross-dressing club. These are cross-dressers and transvestites and transsexuals. And some people might find that weird, but read it. I mean, it's not a pro or con on LGBTQ. It's not pandering to them. It's not insulting them. It's just a simple reflection of reality of who they are. And check
That's
them
awesome
out.
that there's any kind of relation to that at all to begin with, man. I personally think that's really cool. Like where I live, there's actually quite a few bars that are like that and everything. And correct me if I'm wrong, but that kind of reflects your own work, right? Like I'm not sure maybe if it's so much a cross-dressing club, but you work at clubs, correct?
Yes, I work at a club called Atlantis here in Tampa Bay, Florida, in Largo, and it's a gentleman's club. It's not cross-dressers. It's actual females there. So, but yeah,
I'm pretty sure the one I'm talking about is also a gentleman club, but they also like the gentleman with the other gentleman.
Okay,
it's all cool. Like I don't each their own. Whatever makes them happy. It's all fun to me.
And one of the clubs I used to work at was called Players Club, and they do have what they call tranny nights on Sunday and Monday. But I don't work. I work at Atlantis those nights, so I've never been there. I don't know what goes on those nights because I'm working in another club.
Jack knows what goes on those nights.
For your podcast, for our podcast and their listeners, right now I am showing him the bird.
That's it. Everybody's heard about the bird.
Yeah.
So thank you again, man, for coming on, showing us
thanks
this.
for having me.
Oh, dude, anytime at all. And in the future, if you have another title coming out, man, feel free to reach out to me, and we'll try to set something up again for sure.
Yeah, we'll get issue 2 out there. Plus, can I mention one more thing?
Yeah, of course, man.
Go ahead.
I'm looking for another publisher. I don't know if Josh is going to carry this one or not, but I've got a really abstract, quirky title called Adolescent Radioactive Samurai Platypi, and I don't have a comic here on that, but that's not Josh, but Raphael Lennelhouse is drawing that one too at this time. And you can check out my Facebook page. There are Facebook pages for Carl Vincent Vampire Hunter and Adolescent Radioactive Samurai Platypi. Check those out as well. Look at those, see if you like it. Let me know what you think. And I'm looking for a publisher for that one, and maybe Josh will pick that one up. Maybe he won't. I'm not sure what he wants to do on that one. So
definitely talk to him. You know, it sounds right up the alley of pedo man and kid friendly. So
right.
You know what I mean? Like, that's one of the things I really like about Josh is he's not afraid to go there with his books, and he will do what he has to do. It's awesome. I love it. I love his work, and I can't wait to get my hands on some of yours, man, and really check that out. Jack, do you have anything to add before we go ahead and get out of here today?
No, it's been a it's been a good show, and I just I enjoy doing this, and I'm glad to be a part of Tales from the Podcast officially. And don't forget to check out our new podcast coming out, Two Guys, One Crypt, where we talk about bad films and we watch them and we dissect them and we torture each other by making each other watch. Because on the next episode 2, we will be discussing the horror film Monstered, which we will be watching either tonight or tomorrow.
So you're gonna have Crow and Tom Servo on that one, or that you can't.
Oh man, the other show is hilarious, Kevin. If you ever get a chance, so Jack thought he would be like, "All right, this is the worst movie I know." Try to make me watch Space Truckers. I watched it. Well, I'm making him watch Monstered, which is kind of like the horror movie Jack Frost, but instead of a snowman, he's a giant piece of poop. So he's gonna have a lot of fun with that movie.
I might review that one myself.
Go ahead, man. Feel free to check it out. It's pretty cheap online for streaming. It's not a very expensive movie.
I don't know. I mean, I may get me and my girl to watch it tonight. I'll see.
Don't put her through that, dude. She doesn't even know me, and you're gonna be like, "Oh, she's already gonna hate me." Like, don't make anybody watch Monstered. I don't want anybody to watch it except for you.
Oh, thanks. Thank you.
It is a really awful movie.
It really is an awful movie. But everyone, thank you for listening and thank you for watching us. Whoever is watching. I'm Jack Hunter. And
I'm JB. And thank you again, Kevin Given, for coming on. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
And with that being said, guys, the crypt
is closed.